In 2015, 4 engineers were working from a tiny apartment in Lagos. No investors, no fancy office, just laptops and an idea almost everyone ignored. 9 years later, that same company would be worth over $1 billion. But before they got there, they almost went bankrupt. One email nearly killed the company. This is the story of one of Africa's most important fintech companies, and why this same lesson applies to your career.
Let's rewind. The company wasn't always called Moniepoint. It started as TeamApt in 2015, founded by 2 former InterSwitch engineers, Tosin Eniolorunda and Felix Ike. Both men had spent years at InterSwitch, Nigeria's biggest payments giant at the time. That's where they learned how banking infrastructure actually worked behind the scenes. And they noticed something broken. Banks were slow, clunky, and frustrating. So they didn't start by building a flashy app for regular people. They started small and boring, building back-end software for the banks themselves. Their first client wasn't even a bank. It was a tech service company. That single deal helped them bootstrap without giving up a single share. Soon after, Fidelity Bank came on board, then Sterling Bank, then Unity Bank. TeamApt was quietly becoming the tech running the background of Nigeria's banking system. They were profitable within just 2 years, with 0 outside funding. Most founders chase investor cash from day one. These guys, they chased customers. But this steady, behind-the-scenes business was about to hit a massive wall. By 2018, TeamApt software was fixing a massive headache for Nigerian banks. Their tech was running inside more than 2/3 of Nigeria's banks. Then, in March 2019, everything sped up. They closed a $5.5 million Series A round from Jim Ovia, the founder of Zenith Bank. With that money in the bank, they did something incredibly bold. They pushed hard into agent banking. Regular shop owners could now process payments. This was crucial. Nigeria had fewer than 5 bank branches for every 100,000 people. Between 2018 and 2022, growth wasn't just steady, it was explosive. The business was growing 200 to 300% year over year. In 2019, they got a rare switching license directly from the Central Bank of Nigeria. This meant they could move money without relying on anyone else's infrastructure. More funding followed, agents multiplied, transactions climbed into the billions. On paper, it looked like a straight line up and to the right. It wasn't. Let's go back to the moment that almost ended everything. The CEO was driving down Ikoyi Road when a single email notification popped up. Sterling Bank, one of their absolute biggest clients, was pulling out. For a small company, losing a client that size wasn't a setback. It was a death blow. A massive chunk of their revenue completely vanished overnight. Things got so tight, the founder had to borrow money from his own wife just to pay staff. That's not a founder flexing on LinkedIn. That's a business barely keeping the lights on. The whole B2B model was fragile. One bank decides to build in-house, and you're done. The team had a critical choice: stick to the safe path or completely change direction. They chose to bet on something nobody else believed in at the time: going completely offline. Investors weren't lining up to fund physical hardware when apps were the big trend.
To make this pivot work, TeamApt needed massive capital, and they needed it fast. That's when their pitch deck landed on the desk of legendary banker Jim Ovia. He reviewed their transaction history and moved in just 8 weeks. Deal done. $5.5 million. His advice was short: stop shopping the deck around, take the money, and build. That capital gave them the room to order POS terminals in bulk and hire aggressively. And the market responded instantly. Everyday traders who didn't trust distant bank branches trusted the local shop owner. By 2022, the company officially rebranded from TeamApt to Moniepoint. They were no longer just a vendor. They were a full business bank for the underserved. They stayed disciplined and highly profitable, even while scaling at breakneck speed. Then, in October 2024, the big milestone hit. A $110 million Series C funding round pushed their valuation past $1 billion.
So what actually got them here? It wasn't luck. It wasn't a viral app. It was a team that stayed disciplined when it mattered, pivoted hard when a crisis forced their hand, and had the absolute guts to build in a market everyone else was ignoring. The lesson for anyone watching this is simple. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe. Because next week, we are breaking down another giant company that almost didn't make it. See you in the next video.